Welcome to Focus on Form and Flow. So if you've taken any classes of mine, you'll know that I like to offer you the reins to your own movement, to your own body kingdom, so to speak, to invite you to get to know your body in a way so that you can move it in a more healthful way. You know, what we do in our yoga classes or chair yoga classes, or if you take mat classes as well, is to really tune into our own needs, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, and take that into our everyday. So I thought by offering a class based on form and flow, it would help you to get to know your body in a way that would invite helpful, healthful, mindful movement so that you can really feel healthier, stronger, more flexible, longer. It's also helpful when you're nursing an injury or a limitation to really be present on how you can compensate, support those muscles as they're recovering, or the joint if you need long-term support. Every body is different, and it's an invitation. Each class is an invitation to move in a certain way, and you'll find over time ways of moving your body to honor whatever limitations you might be honoring, managing, navigating, and move in the healthiest way possible to support that, especially if you're recovering from an injury or things like that. So this class is to invite you into your musculoskeletal system. So the form of your body, right? You have these bones, this structure that holds you intact. If you didn't have the bones, you'd be like Jell-O, right? So that gives you the framework to start from. Build on top of that the muscles that help to move those joints in certain ways so that we can have abilities and functions for tasks and things like that. And then you have the joints. So you've got the form in the skeletal system with the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments, all those good things. And then when you keep all of those components healthy, you then have more healthy joints, which offers us the flow, right? So you want to find a form and then let that be strong to invite the flow. A lot of movements I like to offer in these small snippets are things that you can bring into your everyday. So I'm going to give you just one little exercise that you can do in still points when you're watching TV or just standing outside drinking in the sunshine. So we're going to come into a seated position first because I want to honor everyone where they're at and all your levels of ability. So you can sit in your chair and sit up nice and tall. Find your framework, build that form. So seated mountain is where we often start our class, to start in that structure. So shoulders over hips, legs coming straight out of hip sockets, knees over ankles, about hips width distance apart. And let's just find some mobility in the shoulders. So press into your foundation, your feet. You should feel muscle hugging to bone, no tension or tenderness in the joints. If that's the case, adjust until you feel muscle strongly holding bone. Press into that foundation. Inhale, the shoulders rise. Exhale, the shoulders back and down, tucking the shoulder blades into back pockets, the tailbone into the earth, drawing into the back body. So you should feel a nice, strong, but easeful position. There's a lot of balances or dichotomies in yoga, like strength and ease, balance between reaching down and reaching up, or we call it root to rise in yoga. And that's to help you navigate where you are in space. So root to rise in your nice, strong, but easeful mountain, seated mountain. And then from here, we're going to find a little bit of flow. You can take an elevator breath. Imagine that you're drawing energy, life force, a breath up to the top floor of your elevator, which is the crown of your head. And as you exhale, imagine that elevator going all the way down to the bottom floor, the pelvic floor. And then inhaling to the top and exhaling all the way to the bottom. So this is just the base, what I call the base model of form and flow, the structure of your body and allowing the flow of the breath to move through your system. And just that action for a few breaths can invite a calmness in your state of mind and in your neurological system on all levels, which is always really beneficial for many reasons. A lot of studies show that. So if that's all you have in your form and flow, honor that form and flow. If you would like to come into a little more movement and structural form and flow, you can come into seated temple, or at least the bottom is going to be seated temple. So knees are about a 90-degree angle away from each other, toes out, heels in, and press into that foundation, your feet, your tailbone, and lift up again, round the shoulders, up to your ears, and then back and down. nice, tall. It's almost like seated throne. I should call it that. It feels like seated throne, nice and tall and proud and regal. And from here, we're going to just find a little sway in the spine. So hug the belly to the spine and just find a little sway side to side. You can just do this, right? Honoring the flexibility of the spine. We talk about the flexibility and availability of movement in the joints. Well, your whole spine is a bunch of little joints, all those little vertebrae. We want to honor their flexibility, right? So just find a couple sways side to side and then come back to center. Of course, if you have anything like osteoporosis, you want to definitely talk to your doctor about finding this kind of movement, as it might not be optimal for you, but you'll, you know your body, and make sure you check with your doctor to see about that. But otherwise, finding that foundational support as you find the flow. We can add arms too. You do a little seated hula dance side to side, and we're rounding the shoulders. Find whatever movement your body wants side to side. I often start this invitation in class as well, because I want you to be able to connect with your own body and see, where am I feeling tight? Where do I need a little motion and fluidity and flow? So just find a little flow, maybe your arms, maybe finding a little rotation. Again, keeping that form, the structure supporting from the foundation, and then come back to center. So that's another thing you can do just watching TV. If your family members are going, what are you doing? Invite them, right? We want to honor our own bodies, and maybe by doing that, you can invite other people to play with you as well. The other thing you can do if you want to go a little deeper is come over, find that flow so that the forearm lands on the foundational support, which is your thigh here, so crisscrossing, and then round that right shoulder onto your back, lifting the heart. So a little deeper, make sure you don't over-rotate into the spine, maybe lifting that right arm, inhale, and then exhale, round, bring the arm forward and down, press into your foundation, inhale. If you need to modify, if it's too much for your shoulder, fingertips on shoulder, and bring the elbow forward and back. So feeling the form, so you can find the flow in the upper body. Here it's the shoulder and the back. Press into your foundation, inhale, lift yourself back upright, and then maybe just find a little space side to side. And with the muscles that support the joints here, you want the core to be engaged to support the spine as you're finding that sway and finding that freedom. And then come on over to the other side, crisscrossing right thigh and right forearm, rolling that left shoulder onto your back. And again, mindful of that low back. You don't over-rotate or really tweak the spine. From here, we're going to find that flow either with the fingertips on the shoulders, letting the elbow play. If it's available, you can let the whole arm swim forwards and backwards. On the breath, you can even use the elevator breath to pace the movement. So you're not just kind of moving the body, which is sometimes when we're disconnected, we're not moving as mindfully as we could. We're not moving as healthfully as we could. So breathing to slow it down, to be present. Inhale and exhale. Inhale back up and exhale, release. You know, the word yoga, if you didn't know, means to yoke or unite. And what that means is to bring all of yourself together, your mind, your body, your breath. So as I was mentioning, sometimes we can be physically moving like, oh, checking this off my checklist, moved my body today, but your mind is somewhere else. And that's when we can tweak our joints and not move in a way that feels good. Part of the reason why we come to class on a regular basis is to really devote that time to really giving our body audience so that we know how to move in our bodies in a way that is healthful and mindful. So we want to yoke the mind, the breath, which will help pace us and keep us present, and the body all together. So this is just one example of form and freedom. If you feel comfortable doing this standing, you can stand while doing this. A little pop in my knee. And then just take a gentle stance. Feet are a little wider than hips width distance. And soften your knees. Feel a little buoyancy in your joints. And feel the framework of your body and just gently go side to side. So this, I find, is a really good motion. It invites breath for me when I'm feeling like I'm sitting and I'm ticking away in my brain. Sometimes if I just even do this, I can redistribute the information, the life force, the prana from just my head to my whole body. Maybe find a little twisting. And see, I invited the yoking of my breath in my body so that I could be more mindful. Finding side sways, almost like you're tracing your fingers along waist-deep warm water. And then gather yourself together. You can find circles in all of your joints. So you can really move in any way that feels good, but mindful of how your structure most optimally operates and honoring where you are. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you take time every day to offer yourself some mindful movement, some mindful breath, so that you can really enjoy your body, enjoy exactly how you are, exactly your level of ability, and move and celebrate this body and this movement. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.